Jailton Almeida, as a minus 500 meet, is finally getting his meet event opportunity and is going in against a guy who has basically only fought in meet events pretty recently. I mean, he's been on a couple main cards, 4 pay-per-views, but when you need a cheap fill-in Apex heavy meat slinging headliner, call up Biggie Boy. And at plus 400, the guy is game to do so again in this one. And you got to give Biggie Boy some respect because he had lost 3 of 4. He got smoked by Blades, got finished by Volkov, which was very discouraging. That was in the first round, and there was, I guess, a little bit of controversy surrounding that stoppage. Some believe that Biggie was still in the contest. He definitely thought he was. I like the stoppage personally, but nonetheless, it was a first round exit via Volkov for Biggie Boy, and the way he was able to come back from that against Chris Dawkins and absolutely sleep the cop in less than 20 seconds, pick up a performance of the night rebound. I was very impressed with Biggie Boy, and so I'm glad that the UFC is giving him this opportunity against a guy that basically no one is trying to fight at heavyweight, Jailton Almeida, who has run through everyone that the UFC has fed him so far, and it's been interesting to watch because Almeida isn't a guy who comes in as a maxed out 265-pound heavyweight. I mean, this guy floats around like 220, 230, 240, but he seems to be one of the strongest dudes out there, and when he gets a hold of you, he takes you down. He does what he wants with you when there, whether he decides to submit you easy work or wants to put on a brutal punching power clinic on the ground as well. I mean, he can basically do it all. So to me, it makes sense that he's a minus 500 favorite in this one, and he's going to. I feel like sometimes people think that Biggie Boy is going to be the way larger guy in this one, and while yes, he'll have about 30 pounds on him. I mean, Jailton's still 6'3", still has a nearly 80-inch reach, and the dude is massive and compact. So, what are your thoughts on this one? Is this another easy light work Almeida finish, or is this perhaps too much too soon and Biggie Boy's coming back?
Yeah, this is a fun slobber knocker, absolute meat down. Um, and the odds are pretty wild to see. Jalton, he hasn't really fought anyone that's like, oh wow, and now he's going versus Biggie Boy, who, let's be honest, Biggie Boy's fought everyone in the heavyweight from the worst fighter to the best fighter, and he's had some amazing performances. He's had the 2 second lip job. He's had the cop, Dawkins, but he seems to lose when it comes to those top few guys. But Biggie Boy has that KO factor. It's very threatening. But Jolton, I mean, he's recently got some KOs. He looks good, but he's got amazing submission game. If it hits the mat, I have to imagine this fight ends very quickly, and it's in Jalton's favor. If it stands up, that's where it gets interesting because Biggie Boy's kickboxing is pretty darn good, but Jalton has some power too, and he is a big boy, but a little more leaner on that side. But I gotta pick Jailton Almeida. I think he is the man. I think he's the future champ. I am very hype on him. The odds I do not like. I'm probably, like, to be honest, I'm gonna sprinkle some stuff on Biggie Boy because if he can't take Biggie Boy to the ground, maybe Biggie Boy gets a 2 second lip job. Someone that can get a 2 second lip job like Biggie Boy can always has a puncher's chance. So I'll probably throw a little sizzle on the KO for him because those odds are probably insane. But I think Jalton is that future champ. Jalton wins via submission. I think in the first, maybe second round.
Yeah, good stuff. And perhaps he is a future champ. The dude is only 31 years old, right? So sometimes we see these heavyweights really start to peak later on in their career. And if he's already this good at only 31, then perhaps he's in that Aspinall conversation of like the young, perhaps future champs in the next 3, maybe 5 years or so. But I love that point you made about Jairzinho's resume, right? Because the dude has been in there with the best of the best. He's also been in there with the worst of the worst, right? And when he is against the best of the best, he does come up short. Lost to Francis, got smoked by Cyril Gahn, lost to Blades. But when he's in there against other guys that are on the other side of the spectrum, I mean, he beat Alan Crowder. He took out Junior Albini, and that's the guy who used to wear a diaper in the octagon. So pretty solid wins, I guess, but over some bumps for sure. But nonetheless, you also referenced the 2 second lip job, and one thing that I want to get your perspective on is that original lip job, right, was a fight against Overeem where Overeem was literally winning all 4 rounds, probably even winning the fifth as well, and then Biggie Boy in the final 5 seconds of the fifth round managed to pull out that 2 second lip job finish over Alistair Overeem. So my question to you is, Jailton Almeida hasn't even seen a third round ever, right? His fights in the UFC, he's only seen 1 second round, and most of the other ones just end early and often in the first. Is there a world perhaps where somehow Biggie Boy can survive the first 5 minutes, 7 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes? And if so, are you at all nervous for what Almeida looks like in the third, fourth, and perhaps fifth round? Because we haven't seen him there, and we've seen Biggie Boy pick up a finish in the literal last second of a 5 round fight. So, is there anything to that?
No, 100%. And this is one of those fights that you look at it and you go, on paper, in your head, you're looking at both of them, this should end in the first round, 100%. And a lot of times, that's what happens. But it's almost so obvious that it probably goes the distance and it might be a snooze fest. I think it should end early and often. If it goes in the later rounds, you always got to worry about the fighter, especially when it comes to these big guys in those later third, fourth, fifth rounds, because we've never seen them. We don't know how they react. We don't know if they overcome diversity. We don't know if they have great gas tank. We just don't know. So there's a lot of unknowns. I'm just so high on Jailton. I think he gets it done. But that's what I was saying. I'm gonna do some sprinkling on those Biggie Boy odds because those are insane. So you'd be a fool not to put at least $1 to $20 on one of those props, especially in later rounds. But yeah, I think Jailton gets it done first, second round. Third, fourth, fifth, that is where it's gonna be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I buy that, and you're definitely going to get some juicy tendies in the R3, R4, maybe even R5 finish category for Biggie Boy. You're going to be getting some insane numbers there, and hey, it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. I love your analysis. Like, it's one of those fights that you anticipate to be over in a couple minutes, but perhaps it's clench time, boys, and you dink that over 1.5, and definitely get plus money with it. And if it does, then the longer this goes, I want to see what Jailton looks like in the later rounds because we've seen Biggie Boy there, and we've seen him. I don't want to say have success, but win fights. So I guess that is having some success. But nonetheless, 88% though, meat is going with Almeida. It's basically all copper for that sub or brown for that KO. So they tend to think that the early and often finish will be likely for Almeida, and then 12% is rolling with Biggie Boy, and it's basically all brown. It's 11.75 percent of the 12 is going with the brown KO Rozenstruik finish, and perhaps that is the only way he can get it done. But maybe I don't know. I do. We keep talking about it, but I want to see this fight extend longer than the first round because I want to see Jailton get tested. Like the guy hasn't really seen much adversity in there, and perhaps Biggie Boy is the one to do it because to your point, Biggie Boy's fought a lot of tough guys and tend to think he's a lot tougher than the guys that Jailton has gone through. Parker Porter looked great last weekend, but he made light work of that. Danilo Marquez is struggling in the PFL, and Shamil Abdurakhimov, not sure he's ever won a fight. So it's been really easy work for Jailton, and this is a true test. I'm going to roll with you, Meat, for pick's sake, taking Jailton. Not quite sure if he's future champ level yet, but the guy is very young. He's very talented, and if he makes light, easy work of Biggie Boy, similar to how Volkov did, then perhaps I'll be singing his future champ praises. But for now, I like him to get this one done. But maybe it's plus over 1.5, clench it up, and perhaps take that plus money. Any last thoughts?
No, yeah, this is a fun fight. I'm very excited to see. I do hope it goes in later rounds. I want to see how good Jailton is because I'm very high on him, but it's hard to be high on somebody if you've never seen them past the first round. But throw the comments who you taking, why, what. Make sure to smash subscribe, like, turn the notification bell so you never miss a meat lock or a breakdown. And we'll see you in the next breakdown next week. Yo.